This week I made MICAH BELL'S hat from Red Dead Redemption 2. A couple people have suggested this hat, so let's get into it. MICAH's hat looks about 6 sizes too big for him and very distressed. I start by blocking a stiffened 220 gram hat body in order to get the right size and shape. I then use a hatter's knot, which conforms the felt to the block and later differentiates the crown from the brim. I then flatten out the brim by stretching out major waves in the felt. Since this felt was already stiffened, I have to remelt the shellac inside that got broken up by manipulating. I do this with an isopropyl alcohol and slight shellac mixture. The hat has to dry for about 8 hours after spraying. Now I take out the block and start pouncing the felt. Pouncing the felt is basically sanding the felt in order to get a smoother finish. Even though this hat will eventually be beaten up and distressed, it's still important that I put a smooth finish on it. Which leads me to the next step. I flash off the loose fibers with isopropyl alcohol and immediately blow it out in order to not burn the felt underneath. And now I brush off burnt fibers in order to finish up smoothing the felt. Now I reblock it to make sure there is no shrinkage from the fire, and cut the brim to an even 9.5 centimeters all the way around. Now I start working on the leather sweatband in order to get it fitting perfectly. Here I punch the holes so I can sew the two sweatband ends together. This is a ferrule. It covers the plastic wire in the sweatband so it doesn't come out. Here I sew in the sweatband with upholstery thread. I use a simple straight stitch with some milliner's needles. Now time for shaping. MICAH's hat seems to be a very worn down cattleman shape, almost to the point where it's a gust or a center crease. The brim seems to be pretty worn down and flat, but it still comes down in the front and back. MICAH's brim has a couple notches in it, which I add with my pocket knife. Onto the band. MICAH's band, I believe, is a strip of leather tied together with some cordage. It also has a match sticking out of it. I then take the match and hat band off in order to not light it in my next step. This is one of my favorite parts about making distressed hats, going crazy with a blowtorch. I use the blowtorch to highlight the crease and dimples on the sides, as well as where the brim meets the crown, as that's where sweat usually builds up. I also add some random spots on the brim. I then finally tune the distortion in order to get it the correct amount. After putting the hat band on, I sew the match in so it doesn't fall out. And this is how it turns out. How accurate do you think it looks? I loved making this iconic hat. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you like our old channel, please subscribe. It really means a lot to us.